What's up, guys? Tuesday night hangout. I wish it was a more exciting, jovial starting out like, yeah, Eagles won, right the ship. The offense was clicking and defense holding serve, doing basically what they do all the time. But, it'd be nice if we could say the same thing for the offense, have it come away with a win. It was 22-19, just not the 22-19 that we wanted. So, Ant-Man is here. We're going to try to make sense of it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Drop a like for us and get as many questions, comments, thoughts, everything else. So the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah, it's hard to try and get up for a stream like this, but at the same time, and I tweeted about it afterwards. I said, listen, nobody wants to think about anything positive after that loss, right? Because it felt like it was within their grasp so many times, and they both literally and figuratively threw it away, right? So it's very disheartening to deal with three consecutive losses given the expectations and the talent on this roster. But glass half full, like always for me. I mean, three of the final four games should be very, very winnable. They should still win the NFC East. They should still host at least like one playoff game. So once you get to the postseason, you never know what's going to happen. I know it's hard to even think about that far down the road, the way that this offense has been playing. But on the flip side, if you do look at what a lot of like the film junkies and analysts, the Fran Duffys, the Johnny Page, the Shane Tafts, like all those guys, the Dan Orlovsky, a lot of them are saying like, yes, Jalen Hurts had a lot of turnovers, but there were some notable like schematic changes, like in the right direction, over and over again. So, I mean, I'm choosing to stay optimistic still, despite the three straight losses, but I can understand people trying to jump off the ship.
Yes, understand. And we'll certainly get into those, obviously, because we have to try to be. I mean, there's enough negativity out there that it's like try to find some positives, try to find something else there. Shout out to Casey, member for 11 months. Go Birds, love you guys. High hopes for the Birds. So there we go. There's some optimism, not completely giving up on everything, but yeah, like at this point here, we're coming off of that loss, and it is the most frustrating when you turn the football over that many times. But even more so, it's like, okay, the defensive effort, the way the defense was playing, it's one of those games that you're like, you shouldn't lose. It just doesn't make sense. And the fact that there's a 7 sacks, 2 takeaways, Herbert was pressured on an insane amount, like 68% of passes, which that's insane. Like think about that, 68% of his dropbacks he was pressured. He had one hand, and they still lost, and the defense held serve. They had one possession where the Chargers obviously opening one, they go down the field because of a really long play to Kimani Vidal, and besides that, then there's the touchdown to Amari and Hampton. Okay, 12 possessions in a row that the Eagles don't allow a touchdown. And a lot of those are very shortened fields because of the turnovers that the Eagles had on offense. So it just, yeah, I mean, I texted you earlier today, and it's one of those where it's like, I'm kind of numb, and it's kind of not making full sense, the fact that that actually happened. But there were some minor positives that we could certainly say there. A lot of negatives, obviously. Lots of ugly play, lack of effort, poor blocking, offensive line, everything there. But there's several different areas, I suppose, that we could get into really quickly before I do ask you the first of the many couple different questions. David with a 5. Appreciate the 5 bomb there. David says, stand with Hurts, stand against KP. So we're taking sides here, but Dickerson and Juergens need to be rested. Thanks to Josh and Thomas for staying up last night. Keep the faith and go Birds. Thank you, David.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Patullo deserved a lot of blame for what's happened before, but I think schematically, and you can argue very specific situations, like things like that, but overall as a whole, that game was not on Kevin Patullo. That game, and I tweeted this afterwards, falls squarely on the shoulders of Jalen Hurts. And you can blame A.J. Brown for the drops as well. I understand that. But it shouldn't have come down to that one throw being completed, in my opinion. I feel like the 5 turnovers, I mean, you could say it's 4 because 2 of them happened on the same play, but 5 turnovers, that's just inexcusable. And you can say it was because they were throwing the ball down the field more, like that was one of the adjustments that they made, but he gets paid a ton of money. I mean, $255 million contract that he signed with the Eagles. And we talk about how like the one of the best things about him is how like careful he is with the football. He does not turn the ball over. I believe it was he had 7 turnovers over the last 2 games, and in the 26 games before that, he had 7 turnovers. It was something insane like that. So could this be just a one-off like crazy performance? Sure, but it was also a very important game that the Eagles had within their grasp, and they could have survived 4 turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
They just couldn't survive 5 turnovers. It's just the defense at a certain point. It's just like, and I think that's kind of what happened in the Bears game. It's just they can only do so much. I mean, Vic Fangio and this defense deserves so much better. And Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Jake Elliott, like these guys that are some of the highest paid at their position, they did not deliver, and when the Eagles needed them the most.
Yeah, it is. It's embarrassing from that type of offense. Do you pay that much money to? By the way, I don't know if this is me. I'll just double check on this, but I'm hearing you perfectly fine. But the video is like delayed with the audio, so I can still hear you
log out
okay.
and come
But
back.
I guess you could try
I'll
that.
jump up.
Okay.
Okay,
People
no
in the
problem.
chat though, let me know if that's just me while Anthony is
I'll be
going to
back.
jump out and jump back. But let me know if that's just on my side, because it could be. It could just be my connection here in the latency. But I want to make sure. So hopefully it gets it corrected whenever Anthony reboots and joins here in a second. Get to several of these other super chats as well. Okay, Axeman, it was a bit laggy. Okay, that's what it seemed like to me, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't just on my side. Sometimes it's just here. But yeah, stand with Hurd, stand with KP, Dickerson, Jurgens, the different issues. Jalen, he did. It was on Jalen. I agree with Anthony. Like we said this in the game. Jalen cost the game with the turnovers more than anybody else. If you did a pie chart, it's not all on Jalen, but if we did a pie chart, yeah, we can't be playing like that. Can't turn the football over. Now I do think that Jalen got overly aggressive, probably because he was told to do. Maybe they were working through that because it's an offense that has not been aggressive, has not taken their shots. So they need to find the happy medium. And, last night was way too much on one side. So I don't know. It's frustrating however you look at it, but it was one of those as we try to get back here and see if that works. I can see you.
Am I good? Can you hear me now?
I can. Yes. Hopefully
it's
that's
matching,
good. It is matching. Yes. So we, keep that the same now.
Hopefully.
Cup with a 5 though, saying, do you think it's possible Hurts struggled because of how much the offense was changed? Obviously inexcusable. And I was kind of mentioning that a second ago, as you had hopped off, but the aggressiveness, and I think it did. Especially you look at some of the throws. And I think I can share this very briefly without getting us in trouble here. But you can see the throw right there. That was late in the game, the 3rd and 16 conversion, if I'm not mistaken, to Devonta Smith. That's a complete anticipatory throw. Like that is one of those that we've not seen Jalen Hurts make much. We've not seen this offense utilize in terms of running any routes, but that's one of those that, hey, you may say it was all or nothing, right? Because it's 3rd and 16. You needed to be aggressive. If it turns out to an interception there and he's trying to take a shot to get a first down, that's difficult, but you got to do something. That's different of make that throw there versus a 1st and 10 from the 17-yard line that you throw back foot rolling to your right with a guy in your face and an interception in the game. So there's a time and place for it. I like the fact that there was some more aggressiveness and there were some areas that were much better. It's just the inconsistency and really the wisdom, the foresight to like know when to throw the ball, when to take those shots. And yeah, it falls on Jalen more so. If we were doing a pie chart, I said that a second ago, but if we were doing a pie chart, it falls more so on the blame of Jalen. AJ Brown had some really bad drops. Certainly one of those that was very much on him that turned into an interception. But there's lots of guys you could go down the list of offensively that did struggle, and still the play calling. We like some more of the formations. We like some more of what they went into this game compared to others, but they still didn't have the full bag and the complementary sequencing of play calling and things like that. So it's multiple facets.
Yeah. So just real quick, am I still good? Just double checking. Voice is good.
Yes.
Words are good. Okay.
Still good.
It felt like they made a lot of adjustments that I liked as far as attacking down the field. It seemed like there were a lot more like in breaking routes, especially into the middle of the field. So that was good. That was positive. But it also felt like you mentioned, there was no in-game adjustment. So they kind of just went into the game like we're going to run more empty formations. I think they ran like 16 plays or something like that from empty formation, and they didn't really have any success with any of them. Most of their success came from either under center or just like traditional shotgun with a running back in the backfield. They had a couple of plays where it was both Saquon Barkley and Will Shipley in the backfield where they moved the ball a little bit, which was a new look. But yeah, it just felt like once again they kind of just before the game even starts, they just make up their mind on what they're going to do, and like if it works, they're going to keep doing. They're going to spam that. If it doesn't work, they're just going to never do it again. So it's just like I don't understand. Like eventually the defense just caught on, right, with the tendencies, and at the end that last interception, everybody can go back and look. That was an RPO. Jalen Hurts, Khalil Mack sat there. He didn't follow the running back. That should have been a handoff 10 times out of 10. But unfortunately, he kept the ball, had to kind of roll out. Khalil Mack was right in his face, kind of faded away. Cam Hart made a great play. But regardless, like that should have never been a pass in the first place, right? People were like, oh, Kevin Patullo, that was on him. He shouldn't have had him pass. But that shouldn't have been a pass. It should have been a run. Like if you look on the left side of that play, I think it was A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, they were blocking because it was an RPO. Like the design is if he hands it off, it's a run to the left side. If not, he keeps it and he has those two routes on the right side. He made the wrong decision of keeping it, and it ultimately bit them. But that's what I'm saying. Like Jalen Hurts, we were applauding that 3rd and 16 completion that you were talking about. But some of the game's best quarterbacks just make that throw like it's nothing. And we're like, oh my God, that was such a great, like the bar seems like it's set so low.
Because we never see it. We never see that.
But like, it's just like, he should be able to do that. That's not something that like we should be celebrating. That's like, oh my God, such a great throw. Like we're going to forget about this throw now because they lost. Like that's just like a pedestrian throw for a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL. So hopefully they build on this. But my concern is that they switched to this more aggressive passing approach where they're taking these shots downfield. But now because Jalen Hurts had the 5 turnovers, are they going to be like, oh, we can't do that. Like we just can't pass down the field. We can't pass in the middle of the field. He can't do it. Let's just go back to what we were doing. So I hope they don't like overcorrect too much to where they just scrap the good, like promising plays and looks that they utilize in this game. But I mean, I guess we'll see.
I'm right there with you because that's what I was going to say is when there's a lot of overcorrection because you come away from last week's game or the game prior, right, and say, okay, well, surely this will be the moment. You know, they can get things right. They had the mini bye. They figure something out. Hopefully, the difference between Chicago and what happened there. But there's extra time, and it was not aggressive enough. It wasn't taking enough shots, or wherever you want to go with it. But okay, they'll fix some things, and they did call more aggressively, and Jalyx took more aggressive shots over the middle of the field and letting it rip. But then we saw the turnovers and we saw the issues there. So I'm hopeful that they don't. We've seen a lot of times that then it's an overcorrection or revert back to what it was. Okay, let's just not turn the football over. Like, as long as you don't turn the football over, it'll be a close game. And well, I keep asking the defense to hold out. The defense will play 75 plays on this game, and you know we could still magically maybe hold on for enough. That's not the recipe for success. If you see, even under center, like they need to call those plays more. The under center plays, whether it was run or pass, was incredibly effective. They didn't have any turnovers from under center. They didn't have I forgot what the negative yard. I think they had maybe one negative play in a sense. I mean, some may have been short, but one negative play out of the entire time that they ran under center, and it was an average of like 10 yards a play when it's under center. And that's only 15 plays for the game, so it is a small sample size. Yeah. But still, like when teams don't expect the Eagles to do it because we don't see it very much, which again is why it's like when we see under center, it's like, oh man, hey, this is exciting, cool. Yeah, this doesn't happen. Especially you want to run under center play action. That very rarely happens because most of the time it's like, okay, it's under center, it will be a run play. At least we know that. It'll be a run play, but will it be effective? But they had success both ways. They had success under center running the football, and they had success under center with that play action. And so those are the moments where it's like, okay, that's the right call, the right decision. And we saw Jaelan make several of those throws. It was under center play action, hits A.J. Brown in stride. It helps more with the yards after catch. There's a reason the Eagles have been almost dead last in yards after catch. It shouldn't be that case, but there's a reason because they run a million hitches every single game. So change it up. You get cross routes over there. You get play action. You have the defense on its heels, especially whenever it's under center. So for those elements, yeah, we like it. Like that was a positive part to it. But I'm questioning it now. I'm kind of in the same boat. We saw some things that worked. Will we see them keep the good and kind of, discard the bad, whittle away at it? Or is it going to be like, no, throw all that out? Like, we'll just go back to it. We're staying the gun. As long as we don't turn the ball over, we can get 3 yards of play, and that's just going to be what we are.
Yeah, it feels like for the most part, like I said, there were a lot of positives outside of the turnovers. There were a lot of positives from the offense. I mean, the running game looked a little bit better. I know people say, oh, outside of that 52-yard run, that Saquon Barkley only averaged like 3.7 yards per carry. But I feel like he had another gain or two of over like 10 yards. I think he had like a 19-yard run or something like that. So like there were some gains that they were getting here and there. It's just like you said, the thing you got to worry about is, are they going to just completely scrap all these things now because of one bad game overall? So I think there's a lot of good they can keep and kind of build on moving forward, but they should scrap those wide receiver screens where there's just one wide receiver blocking for the wide receiver and that's it. They should scrap the empty looks if Jalen Hurts isn't going to run and keep the ball. Like there's just certain things that don't make sense.
Can't
if
block
Jalen Hurts
Katera on a run play, like let's pull him, or let's have Tyler Steen and Grant Calcaterra lead the way on a run play. That seems like a great idea. See more of those.
Just get rid of those 3 things. I think the wide receiver screens where it's just one person blocking for the screen, throw them out. Throw out the empty formation if Jalen Hurts isn't going to run the ball out of the formation, and then throw out Grant Calcaterra as a blocker at all. Just if he's going to be on the field blocking, just run to the other side.
I'll say also, and I'm going to get to these other super chats too, so don't go anywhere. I'm getting to those in order. I will just say also, thinking about this or seeing the way the game played out, you got Justin Herbert with one hand who did not want to get hit, but he was, and kudos to him for gutting it out. I mean, like, you saw how many times he got hit in the hand. Jalyx Hunt was like punching at the ball, but got a whole lot of that plate and everything like that. Oh, that just feels like that would be terrible. But he was gutting it out, and the fact that he was willing to run several times, he kept it on the inside zone late. That was actually not even an RPO. It was a called inside zone run, and he just decided last second to pull it and go, take an audible on the fly. Great play. Great players make great plays, and he did. Like, kudos to him. He didn't play good from just holistic stance, especially the passing element, and the Eagles defense had him bottled up, but he still ran for, 60 yards, over 60 yards with the hand. And I was sitting there going, like, especially after the game, thinking about this, Jalen Hurts, I know he's not the same runner. I know he's lacked the speed, the acceleration, whatever. You can just tell it, blatantly obvious to the eye test. But he still can be a threat, and you do see it at times. Now, I know that one of those got called back for the hold, and that's infuriating for a number of reasons. But Jalen is just, it seems like, afraid to be a threat at times. I don't know if it's trying to make too much happen with his arm and just waiting on, look downfield, look downfield. Okay, now just throw it away. But there's so many other times where you watch a Justin Herbert, you watch a Patrick Mahomes, you watch guys that they're not faster than Jalen Hurts. I mean, if they are, it's so minuscule that it doesn't matter. They're basically the same, but they choose the much better times to take off and run. And then all of a sudden you look at the box score and like, well, they couldn't throw. They did have a bad game passing still, but they ended up with 60, 70 yards. And it's not to say that Jaelan hasn't done that this year, but it's been a long time since we've seen him really use his legs to put the defense in a bind. And he's just sitting back there. So that would be another piece to it, which we were talking about before the game, but like, hey, get Jaelan involved. If it's not going to work with the designed runs, at least be enough of a threat when you drop back to pass and you don't have anything that you like from the defense to take off and run. And I know that it may be 5 or 6 yards. We're not talking about a 15, 20-yard scramble. But how many times that Justin Herbert has one hand and he still picked up 5, 6 yards and moved the chains a little bit, just enough to get into field goal range. It's a crazy, stark difference when you watch a guy like Herbert and Hurts last night.
Yeah, and that's the concerning thing, right? Is that, like, you would have thought, watching those two quarterbacks when they did have the opportunity to run, you would think Jalen Hurts was the one that just had surgery that week, right? It's like there was a play I remember, I believe it was sometime in the first half, one of the early design runs, one of the only design runs that they called, where he broke out to the right, I believe it was the right sideline. It was just him and one defender, and he kind of just walked out of bounds. He didn't even like try to cut upfield and like take a little bit of a hit. It just seems like if you're not going to utilize your legs, that's basically like taking away one of Jalen Hurts' superpowers, right? Like one of the threats
Mm-hmm.
that allowed the running game with Saquon Barkley to be so dominant last year was the fact that the edge rusher had to account for Jalen Hurts taking the ball at all times. It was, you were basically playing 11 on 10 because one of those defenders had to account for Jalen Hurts, and then the other 10 guys could kind of figure out where Saquon Barkley was going with the ball. So the fact that these teams aren't even worried about him as a runner anymore. It's just even when he rolls out in the pocket, he's more so just fading away. He's not really rolling to run. He's just rolling to kind of either throw it out of bounds or just throw it up. And then we saw the interceptions, of course. So it just seems like I honestly, I think he just doesn't want to run. And I know there's a lot of controversy about that. Like,
Yep.
He's had injuries, he's had turnovers. Like maybe that's why. But at the end of the day, you were paid $255 million because you can run, and like not just because you can run, but because you were one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the NFL. If now you're just a pocket passer, you're not a $255 million quarterback. I'm sorry.
No, but you're 100%. And again, it doesn't have to be Jackson Dart levels of idiocracy. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need to go and take those type of shots. But you watch Josh Allen play. You watch the way that he runs and the threat that he is. Jalen could very easily do that. There are plenty of instances if he's willing to take a few minor hits. And yeah, it does increase the risk of injury. Totally get that. It could happen. But it's kind of the fine line there. Like you said, you're paying him to be that dual threat. And he's not making it pay. And the passing game is not, if he was throwing just with ease and the passing game was making his life easier and he just didn't need to, he could sit back there all day and just pick a defense apart, fine. But obviously that's not happening. So yeah, it's a little frustrating. We come away from that and see that he doesn't have those same type of numbers and kind of the unwillingness or at least the optics of not trying to go out there. Eric with a 2, appreciate that. Can we acknowledge how 11 spoke up for 1 finally? I mean, I did hear the press conference, and he did at least utter Jalen's name. He didn't say the quarterback or he or him, and not willing to say Jalen's name for once. So I guess if we're looking for positives, they seem to be a little better relationship-wise. I don't know if anything happened. The connection, AJ has had 100-yard games for 3 straight, but we've lost all 3 of those. I don't know if there's a correlation there, but yeah, like, okay, cool. Spoke up for each other. They both played not good. AJ made a few plays, but man, if he and you know what, he bells out Jaelen for a really poor game, but if he makes that catch, the teardrop, the just right in the bucket that Jaelen put, I know it's a great play that by the defender late to get his hand, but we've seen AJ make that catch before, even with the contact. And he talked about it afterwards. He's like, that's a play I got to make. So he understands it, but it'd be a whole different story if AJ makes that catch there on that, what was it? I think 3rd and 11, and it's rather 2nd and 11 to make it 3rd. I can't remember, but one of those.
Yes, it was 2nd and 11.
Okay, yeah, and so, but to have that opportunity and make that catch, it probably, we'll never know. It may not have been, just hypothetical, but it probably would have been ball game with the way the defense is playing. You take a 7-point lead, probably would have been ball game.
Yeah, I mean, A.J. Brown had no leg to stand on after the game. I know he had 6 catches for 100 yards, but I mean, he had a big drop. I know it was like a broken play, but a big drop on the opening drive of the game, right? That deep shot that I mean, I get it. It could be tough catches to make, but once again, you're one of the highest paid players at your position. If you get 2 hands on the football, you should catch that ball. And I know there's it was over, the other play was over the middle. Like did you see what happened to Zach Ertz? I get that. But once again, Zach Ertz went up and tried to catch the ball. A.J. Brown made a business decision. I understand. But that's the risk of playing football. I mean, you want to go over the middle, you want to take those shots, then that's what you're going to have to do. You're getting paid a whole lot more money than all of us in this chat will probably make in our lives combined to go over the middle and take that risk to catch that ball.
Yeah.
And he didn't. And then obviously the one at the end where there was really no reason. I know the defender made a good play or whatever, but A.J. Brown's a big receiver. He should be able to kind of out-muscle these cornerbacks that he's been. Even you go back to the Lions game where Rock Ya-Sin kind of like had him locked up. Like, these are cornerbacks.
That's so infuriating that happened.
Do you remember what A.J. Brown did to like Emmanuel Forbes, where he made like these lesser cornerbacks and just made them look incompetent? Like, they didn't, like, he literally made Washington give up on a 1st-round pick because A.J. Brown dominated him so badly. And now it just seems like he's just going through the motions. And I'm not going to question like his how much he wants it or not, but from the outside looking in, it does not look like he's 100% in it. And given how much money he's making and all of the complaining he was doing to start the season, yeah, he's quiet now because he's getting his 100 yards or whatever, but it doesn't look good when you make 3 huge drops in a primetime game that was decided by just 3 points.
No, not at all. And especially the other part that maybe doesn't get mentioned as much because it's not on the stat sheet necessarily, but we all saw it. Like anyone watching the game, the amount of times, and this is not just for the game last night. This is throughout the season, throughout really just kind of how AJ is, but certainly throughout this season, is in the blocking. Like how many times you got AJ a chance to make a block and extend a play, add a couple of 5, 10 more yards, maybe if he keeps blocking, give some sort of an effort. I don't like the wide receiver screens at all. I think that they're pointless. They don't know how to run them. So, you're probably not going to get many yards anyway. But AJ Brown's lack of effort is so blatantly obvious compared to when we're talking about blocking, compared to looking at Darius Cooper out there. And you can't point to it and say like, oh, well, Darius Cooper has got the experience because obviously he's just gotten into the league. Like AJ's been here for a long time. There's no excuse for him to not have any sort of like technique, fundamentals. Everything. It all comes down to want to. And if it's a business decision, if it's just kind of like, I don't care, I'll kind of like halfway do it, whatever, we'll pick up some yards if we do, no big deal. But when you got, I think about Saquon Barkley on the run to the left side where he was picking up a lot of yards, and AJ turns around and it's like, oh, you're here. And Saquon's got to like shove him forward, like keep going,
Darius
keep
Cooper
blocking
on
for
that
me.
on that same play. Darius Cooper pushed AJ Brown. He chipped, I think, Khalil Mack. Then he pushed AJ Brown kind of out of the way, like, what are you doing? Why are you not blocking?
Yeah.
And then went and got that ceiling block. And you could literally hear the pop from Darius Cooper on that block on the broadcast. But
yep.
I mean, it's just like the difference, like you said, is night and day. I know one's an undrafted receiver that's trying to like come up in the league, and one is a guy
Totally
that's already been paid.
But they're getting
But
paid.
at the same time, yeah, we shouldn't be able to question this.
Make the plays.
That's the problem.
Make the effort plays. Yeah. And here's the like full transparency, honesty. Had they won the game, if they were on a big winning streak, they were blowing teams out, and AJ was still doing that, which was last year too. Like we could point to that. Are we talking about it? Probably not. So in a way, winning cures all. And we could say, yeah, but it doesn't matter. They're still winning. Sure, it'd be nice. Totally fair. But like when the team is going through the way that it is, and you understand the vibes, it's got to be every single person playing to 100%. And unless you're winning these games and blowing teams out, and it's still, my belief is you got to be given 100%. But as we're calling it out, yeah, it makes more of a difference. It's more noticeable when they're losing games, and then you see superstar players that are going halfway, and you're like, come on. You got to be kidding me. You're getting paid way too much for that. Green Wingman with a chin. Appreciate that. The hope at this point is that they find a stable offensive style heading to the playoffs, because the way that the defense is playing, they have a shot to compete.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? Is just this defense is so damn good that they should have a chance against anybody. If the offense can just be average, they don't even, maybe even below average, and they'll be able to win. Like I said, they would have won that game if they had just 4 turnovers. But obviously they had 5, and that's what cost them. So like, I don't understand. It's so frustrating that the defense is so good, but the offense just hasn't been able to hold up their end of the bargain.
It's been ridiculous. If they were just average, like just decent, and with all the weapons that they have, it's crazy. It's mind boggling. It's been all season really, but certainly after the bye, and I thought like, yeah, there's some momentum off the bye. They can build on something. They can make some adjustments, a few changes. They get a little extra time. They're going to Green Bay. They got the acquisition of Jalen Phillips. So, okay, the defense is hyped here, and the defense has lived up to expectations and gone above that. Like, they are playing really, really well. And I know that we could point to the Chicago game and the Dallas game where they gave up points. They did 24 to Dallas, and but offensively, you can't go 3 quarters basically and have your defense playing that many snaps and expect them to hold. Like at some point it's going to break, and it did. It slowly but surely did, because they were having way too many 3-and-outs and they weren't able to give the defense a break. Same thing for the Chicago game. You can't have your defense out there 41 minutes or whatever it was, getting doubled up time of possession and having the most snaps played over the course of the last multiple 3 or 4 weeks in the NFL and expect them to do something. Yet they still, I mean, you look at it across the board since the bye week, minus the Chicago game, they're like top 5 EPA, a top 5 defense. And okay, then where there's the run, I don't know. See, it's the same issues. It was early in the season. They couldn't stop the run. Vic Fangio is going to figure it out. That was without Jalen Carter. Like we said this in the preview, he's proven it. If there's ever an issue that pops up on the defense, it's an outlier. It's something that we're like, okay, they will adjust. That was ugly, but they will adjust. The pass defense seemingly only continues to get better. I know Justin Herbert was injured, but it still seemingly only seems to get better. And you've got the pass rush now, bad offensive line for the Chargers, but still the fact that they could pressure rate 68% of the time, 7 sacks. Jalyx Hunt, ridiculous. Jordan Davis, insane. The guy's getting home. Like, yeah, that is a momentum builder. That's a confidence builder. If only the offense could be average. You'd be sitting there going, yeah, I mean, and it's not impossible. So Green Wingman, I appreciate the super chat. Yeah, optimism-wise, positivity, if you're trying to look at it glass half full, it's not impossible for this Eagles offense to be average because they have so many good playmakers on it. And there's a few things that they did, like we talked about against the Chargers, that you could pick and choose and keep some of those and try to morph this thing over the next several weeks. But even if they do, the difficult part now is with the remaining part of their schedule, we won't know. They could go out and they could beat the Raiders. They could beat the Commanders by 10, 15 points. The Bills, okay, maybe there's something there. I don't trust their defense, so it still would be like, maybe, maybe not. But you could legit go to the playoffs and say, hey, they won every single game going into it from here on out. They won by 10 points in each of those games. The offense scored 28 points or more in those. And you still would kind of go, yeah, but I don't know. They could resort back to what they were doing. It's Kevin Patullo. There's inexperience with this offense, and that's the most difficult part about it. Now, do I think that they're going to be out of any game? No, because that's how good the defense is. It's just the struggle of so many teams that they could put away very easily and very early, and they're not because the offense is with the Raiders and Titans level of performance.
Yeah, it's crazy to see some of like the teams that they're ranked next to as far as like the offensive production goes. But just going back to the defense, that secondary, I mean, Adoree Jackson's been a guy that I've kind of defended all season long. He had another great game. Marcus Epps,
he was unreal.
Looked really, really good. Made like 3 tackles right after the catch. Didn't allow any yards after the catch. He had a huge run stop along, I believe it was the left sideline. Like that secondary looked really, really good. I wrote about it in my recap article on the PhillySpecialShow.com, but I believe the 5 players in the nickel defense combined to allow like 4 receptions for like 35 yards or something. It was absurd. Like they just did not allow anything through the air. Cooper DeJean kept getting tested by Justin Herbert against Lad McConkey and didn't give up anything. So I joked that it was kind of his makeup game for getting toasted by Adam Thielen last year. He got his revenge against a white wide receiver.
There you go. Yes.
It was
he capitalized.
Just another unbelievable performance.
Q lockdown. So
yeah, it was absurd. But like you said, we could be going into the wild card round of the playoffs where the Eagles could be 11-6 or 12-5, and we don't know what the offense is, like, which is crazy to think about. 17 games into the season, and you don't know what to expect from the offense heading into the playoffs. It's just such a weird situation.
It is, and like again, the dreamer, the living in a fantasy land, like trying to figure this thing out or be really, really optimistic. You look at the schedule, you look at the standings, and more than likely, it's very. There's ways they could change, totally fair, but like more than likely, it's appearing as if the Eagles are going to be the 3 seed. Excuse me. So the way that the loss shakes out and 2 seed and everything else. So and then obviously the NFC South with the Bucs losing. So more than likely 3 seed, which would mean that you're playing the 6 seed and probably whoever's second place in the NFC North, which is the Bears. Maybe. I mean, the Packers could then fall possibly, and the Bears get back up there. But like, could see the Bears, the Lions. Maybe they could sneak their way into it. But if it's either one of those two, all 3 really, we've played them well. Chicago, I don't like. I would very happily say, yeah, sure, let's play. It doesn't scare me in the sense of what they did to our defense. offensively is the part that we don't know. You could go out there and score 10 points. Does the defense hold serve enough for that? Probably not. As great as they've been, probably not. But if you can hold them to 17, I think that's very realistic. Could you hold them to 20? I think that's very realistic. If the offense could be average, then you have a very good shot. Now that's first round, sure, wild card, and then you got to figure out where you're going after that. But in that first series, you can talk yourself into it just looking at this defense. Like, oh, there's maybe something here. But we're going on so long of a stretch of this offense. We're trying to find ourselves. Jalen Hurts admitting we don't have an identity. We got to find an identity. There's something out there. We still haven't found it. And here we are, week 15, that the defending Super Bowl champs on offense with only one new piece or swap out of the starting lineup with the right guard. One guy, and they haven't found their identity. It's not a one player. It's not a one coach necessarily, but combined, the collective effort, there's no identity.
Maybe the return of Lane Johnson will help them kind of find their footing.
It'll be better.
Another big return for the Eagles looks like it might be happening with Charlie Hewlett, the long snapper, potentially returning.
That's true. Yes.
The Eagles, I mean, granted he's a long snapper, but I saw Brandon Lee Gowton also tweeted this out that they were 4-0 in the 4 games that he was the long snapper. But more importantly, is Jake Elliott did not miss any field goals when he was the long snapper, where I think he's missed like 6 field goals or 5 or 6 field goals since he's been out. So yeah, it's like a joke, like the long snapper or whatnot, but the kind of that process for the field goal unit, maybe it is significantly better with Charlie Hewlett and just the way he snaps the ball, the way they time things up. It's a much more like fluid operation there. So I mean, that could have been a difference in last night's game, right? It's just if he made that one field goal, then everything is different. But
it would have, yeah.
Well, there's obviously Jalen Carter should be coming back in a couple weeks or whatever the case might be. So there's reason to be optimistic. It's just the offense. I mean, they're running out of time. It's getting late. It's not even early anymore. It's not getting late early. It's just getting late, and they still haven't figured it out.
That's what it is. It's getting late. Casey with a 10. I trust and believe in Jalen Hurts. Don't want to fathom trading or benching him, but I feel that he has possibly been trying way too hard to make 1 in a million throws when there are safer options. Yeah, I mean, he played poorly. I think that it's been the balance like we were talking about a second ago, but it's the overcorrection. It's being ultra conservative, having that preached to him, which it is because Sirianni said it a number of times, so many different times. So we take care of the ball, take care of the ball, take care of the ball. He's all about the stat, which it does ring true as frustrating as it is sometimes. But when the Eagles win the turnover battle, the record's insane with Nick Sirianni. So understand that's a big aspect of it. But when it's preached over and over, I think that it was a lot of we're not taking shots if we don't need to unless it's just for sure. And probably a combined part of if he's not going to have those anticipation throws and or doesn't want to risk something, then it's just wait. Just hold on to it. If we don't have a, for sure, great chance to complete the pass, just hold it, throw it out of bounds, dump it off, punt, live to fight another day, basically. But it couldn't keep going like that. So then you start seeing some changes. And especially on the game last night, yeah, I think that he was 100% pressing. I think if you look at the timing, the decision-making, kind of the second guessing also with a couple of those pump and then throw it, and he kind of wants to, but he doesn't, and making some of those decisions, he's thinking way too much and he's not trusting fully. It's like either go all in, trust the process, trust the offense there, or reserve, Go back to the straitjacket, as Jalen said after the NFC. They finally let me out of my straitjacket. Whatever that was in reference to, if it was the hey Jalen, no, let's be conservative here, and they finally said okay, now you can take your shot and be aggressive. I don't know, but it needs to be one or the other. You can find a happy medium, I suppose, but if he's thinking out there too much, we're gonna get more of this. We're gonna see more turnovers, and that's what happened late in 2023. You look at the numbers, the last 5 games the Eagles played in 2023, Jalen Hurts had 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. The last 5 games that the Eagles have played, Jalen Hurts has had 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. When the turnovers come, that's the one thing that you like to hold your hat on, right? Is that the one thing of, okay, if nothing else, Hurts and Sirianni will not turn the ball over. The offense may look anemic. It may be frustrating, as all get out, but it'll be at least not turning the football over. Once the turnovers come, that's when we see games like happened last night.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why we were kind of willing to gloss over the kind of the lower scoring wins, and the fact that Jalen Hurts wasn't putting up 300 passing yards each week was the fact that like they were still winning, right? Like he had 19 total touchdowns or 19 passing touchdowns and the one interception. Like you could live with that play style if you aren't turning the ball over. But now, and it's kind of weird timing too, because I do like that they became more aggressive, but the Chargers were one of the best defenses in the league at not allowing those deep plays of 20 plus yards.
Yeah, number two pass defense.
Yeah, it kind of just felt like a weird time to kind of press that button. Maybe do that against the Bears defense that had their fourth and sixth best linebacker available, and CJ Gardner-Johnson was available to kind of be tested in coverage. We've seen him allow 7+ touchdowns in a season for the Eagles. So why not try that strategy against the Bears and then do your strategy that you use against the Bears against the Chargers? But I mean, so it is odd. I do want to see them kind of find that happy medium, like you said, but yeah, it's just it's nothing on the offense is really there to build on for sure. There's been like a little bit of lights and promising signs here and there, but it's just a matter of them putting it together. But it's week 15. I mean, this should have been done in training camp. It's crazy.
Yeah, in training camp or like coming out of the bye week by that point, and that's why I was hopeful for it, because it's like, okay, you stumbled into the bye, but the record's pretty good. We'll take it. We're happy about it. Cool. Come out of the bye. Let's keep this thing rolling. And they still won, but it was nothing. It was nothing to do with the offense. Like you had two of those games, the Packers and the Lions game, that was like two of the top 5 historically best performances for EPA from the defense, but 2 of the bottom 5 performances from the offense in EPA. You won the games, but your offense is just doing nothing for it. So I don't know. If nothing else, a little bit of positivity or a little bit of perspective, I guess, on maybe kind of in a way it helps, is the Chiefs' loss to the Texans. I know some people found something from that. The Chiefs, they're not officially out of the playoffs, but they very, very difficult road for them to make the playoffs. The Eagles still, based on a lot of different metrics, say it's a 90% chance that they win the NFC East. And obviously that's an automatic way to make the playoffs. It's probably higher than that percentage in terms of just making the playoffs, but NFC East, 90% chance was the last percentage there. It's not just Jalen. It's not just offenses in general. You see the Chiefs, they were terrible. They were actually worse graded against the Texans. Now, the Texans have a dang good defense. They're insane defense. But Patrick Mahomes had a 19 quarterback rating. Comparison-wise, Jalen Hurts against the Chargers was 31. 19 for Mahomes, 31 for Hurts. Both were terrible. But, I think I saw the stat. Somebody had mentioned it, but it was first time that the 2 quarterbacks that played in the Super Bowl the year prior on the same week had 0 touchdowns, combined for 0 touchdowns, and each had 3+ interceptions.
It's funny because, well, not funny, but I mean, it's kind of gets to make light of a bad situation, but Jalen Hurts had the interception that technically falls on him, but it went through AJ Brown's hands, and then Patrick Mahomes had the same thing with Travis Kelce, right? So it's like 2 of their most reliable top targets that have been with them during these Super Bowl winning seasons, like dropped the ball literally when it mattered most. So just such a weird season for both teams, and obviously the Eagles have better chances of making the playoffs and doing some damage in the NFC if they do reach it. But it's just so weird to think of like they were at the top of the mountain last season, and now it's just so low.
The climb that they had last year feels very much like I don't know. Are they are they currently falling? They've definitely slipped. I don't know if we're saying that they're officially falling at this point. It's in a very bad way. Let's just say that it's in a very bad way offensively. As great as the defense is, which that's the waste of it. That's what feels like a total waste. JP here with a 10. Appreciate that. The 10 bomb says the O-line is not producing. Always open. AJ can barely catch the ball. Look, everyone has been screaming for Hurts to pass more. How was this any different than Goff's horrible game last season? I don't know. I haven't really put that into perspective, I guess, or thought about it a whole lot. How is it different than Goff's game last season? I guess the difference for me would be that it's not it's not an outlier. It's not a once every 4 or 5 games, like this has been going this way the whole season. We haven't had that bad of a turnover game, but Hurts has been the offense has been terrible since the bye week, and really for most of the season, but certainly since the bye week. And Hurts has been like just as bad. I mean, just individual performances, but the turnovers now finally catching up. You can't, like, I'm not excusing Goff's performance last season, and I'm assuming that's the 5 turnover game we're talking about. But it's also not like you would go back and say, well, yeah, he was doing that all season, or the Lions were struggling to move the football. They were dominating. They were winning by 30, 40 points, it felt like. They're just steamrolling teams most of the year. It'd be different if we had that game last night and we said, okay, Jalen played a really bad game, but the Eagles offense has scored 30 points like 5 or 6 times this year. They dropped a 45 like the Rams did on the Cardinals the other day. It'd be different because we'd go, yeah, but we know what they can play like. We know the potential. At this point right now, can anyone honestly tell me that the Eagles have the potential to score 40 points on offense? I mean, they should. Like, the talent on the roster, they should. But, like, what we've seen, I don't think so.
I mean, this would be the week, right, for them to finally do that against that Raiders team that seems like
it'd be so great if they did.
They've mailed it in, right? It feels like you should be able to get a convincing win at home against that team. But at the same time, it's like I saw you tweet about their 11.5-point favorites the Eagles are, and that's exactly the amount that they were favored over the Cardinals back in 2023. So hopefully a different result this time for the teams that seem like they've been so similar all along with the way this collapse is going. So this could be the way that they kind of turn things around. And also, like, I know I've been very harsh on this stream, and I feel like it's more so just because I've tried to say so positive this whole time that, like, eventually everybody kind of just reaches that point where they really need to, like, take a step back and be critical. But at the same time, it's like with that game last night, right? Like, if Jalen Hurts doesn't throw an interception there and they get a touchdown, they win that game. It's just like we're talking completely differently about this team, right? I know it's just the one pass, and I know it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But it's like then we're gonna be like, wow, this team was able to overcome 4 turnovers. Jalen Hurts' mental toughness, he was able to put all that behind him.
They changed some things,
all of this whole script would have been flipped just off that one pass. So I do kind of want to take a step back and, like, with this remaining schedule, there is going to be a legitimate chance for them to kind of flip the script going into the playoffs. But once again, just the way that offenses looked all season long, like you said, they haven't had that one breakout game outside of the Giants game. Like, they haven't shown you enough to really be like, this team can make a push in the playoffs. Like, yeah, the defense is so good, but can the offense match that tempo? So maybe we'll finally get a few promising performances down the stretch. But I mean, my confidence level is at an all-time low for this season.
I'm right there with you. And as the eternal optimist as well, I don't know what percentage I would put it at this point. But it's not completely gone. So let me just say this. It's not completely gone. It's a very low percentage, but there still is a very small part of me that is choosing to not totally give up and be like, somehow, if they can, because like you just said, if they had scored a touchdown, it'd be a totally different script. So still under that same undertone, even though it was a loss, but being like, there were a few variances that happened on offense, and if they can build off of those, the positive things, and kind of keep this momentum going. You mentioned the Lane Johnson coming back, Jalen Carter. You get some guys healthy, maybe. Depending on who the offensive linemen are, if you get them some rest or if they're out for a little bit, but to get them healthier for the playoffs. And then if they could just get into the playoffs and have a little bit of that momentum built, even if it's not good teams, right? If it's the Commanders, the Raiders, we'll see what happens in Buffalo. But if it's just a little bit of momentum, the one thing that I know it's very small, so people don't be going like, oh yeah, Josh still believes in this. Like, no, it's not overwhelming here, but it's still there to some extent, because there's one thing with just the dangerous out of a team that's done it before, and I'm only saying it in terms of winning. I know it's a different offensive coordinator and how much we believe in Kevin Petula and everything else, but when it comes to the playoffs, you've seen that teams get tighter, they play tighter, they make mistakes, and as bad as the Eagles have played and the lack of not playing up to the standard and everything else, if they can find something in the playoffs, or at least they're that team that looks like they've been there before, then maybe, because mainly the defense, as we said, and if the offense is just at that average level, then who knows? They could win a game, maybe 2 games. If we go beyond that, that seems like a little bit far of a stretch for me at the moment, but I'm still not completely giving up on the hope. They just got to fix things, and as you said a second ago, Anthony, it's late. It's not even early, and that's the hard part, is because they might be running out of time. Kelly with a 5. Does Jaelan not see the middle of the field because of his height, or does he not read the field well, or both?
Both. I would go. I mean, well, no, I wouldn't go with it. I don't think his height is a problem. I think there are plenty of quarterbacks built with his size that are able to see the middle of the field. I think it's more so just, and this is a knock on a lot of people that aren't Eagles fans when they talk about Jalen Hurts as a quarterback, he's just not the best processor. And I know people don't want to say that. They want to say like, oh, he's this complete quarterback, he's a Super Bowl MVP. But when you really do like zoom out and compare him to other quarterbacks in the NFL, there are far too many times, and Troy Aikman pointed it out a bunch. It seemed like he went into that game wanting to get this point across during the broadcast, that there are a lot of open players that Jalen Hurts just simply misses, whether it's he doesn't get to them in the progression and then he just like leaves, or he's seeing ghosts in the pocket and just tries to scramble, or just gets fixated on one player before the snap and just decides that's the guy I'm going to go to. Like overall, Jalen Hurts just doesn't process the field and doesn't really take his time and go through his reads. He can do it. He has shown that he can do it, but he doesn't do it consistently enough to be considered a great processor, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's and especially with the middle of the field. And, there have been the reports of, well, Jaelan doesn't want to throw over the middle field. There's others conflicting, because Jaelan called out in 2023 saying that he felt like they didn't utilize the middle of the field the way they should. He wanted to have some more things built into the scheme. So who knows exactly where that falls, but from the film standpoint, and I said this before too, like I understand it, if like, you're just trying to stand up for Hurts or everything, and defending him there, and not, afraid to say that he had a poor performance, or that he's had, some issues and stuff. Never afraid to say it. Call it out on the game recap videos. Could say it all the time. Jalen Hurts played poorly against the Chargers, played poorly against the Bears, has had many poor performances since the bye week. But there's the offensive coordinator fixes a whole lot of different things. Like how many offensive coordinators you look across the NFL, and every quarterback has flaws. Every one of them. There's not a perfect quarterback out there. Some have, more than others, whatever. You can argue that and where the tiers are and everything else. But at the end of the day, we've seen Jalen Hurts play good enough to be a Super Bowl MVP and to play really well and have an offense that's humming and capitalize on the weapons. Sure, you have some really good weapons, but an offensive coordinator who can do that. And you look at the difference of Chicago is kind of the easiest one because of what they're doing, and Ben Johnson and all the other stuff there. But Caleb Williams is still not playing great. You could say he's not even playing good percentage-wise completion, but Ben Johnson's getting about as much as you can from that Bears offense in his first year. And if it keeps up there, like, wait till it happens what happens next year. Shane Steichen the same way. Like, and I mentioned this on the game recap video that probably comes out a little bit later tonight, but Daniel Jones, did we just all miss it for so many years in New York? He was the guy. Somehow we didn't see that. Like, then he goes to Indianapolis, and what happens? It's like, he's still the same player. He still has the same issues. Those have not changed. You can get a little bit better, but as we said, that every quarterback has their deficiencies. A good offensive coordinator figures out ways to hide those and emphasize the strengths and make the offense centered around that, versus another offensive coordinator who's kind of like, I don't really know. It feels like they're just picking plays out of a hat randomly and going, well, let's see if this one goes and if this one works. And there's no sequencing and feeling what the defense is doing. But at the same time, as we said, as early as, week 2 or 3 this season, after some press conferences from KP, it's like, yeah, you understand that counterpunching is good to have that ability, but you don't always need to counterpunch. Sometimes you can be the aggressor and be like, hey, we're good at this. Try and stop us. And you see some teams that are good at doing that and having that element. And the Lions, I think, are one of the first and foremost. They do what they do, and they do it well. And you have to figure out how to stop them. Vic Fangio did in the game against the Lions, and that was what was so impressive about that. and then you try to adjust. But too many times, especially early in the season, it was like KP said, well, we got a different look, and they showed us something that we weren't exactly expecting, and so we tried to change things off of that. And it's like, yeah, but you have to have an identity. And now here we are 15 weeks in, and Jalen Hurts has admitted to himself that they don't have one. So it's a whole lot of issues all around.
Yeah, it just feels like that's been an issue all season long. Like where they're waiting to see what the defense is going to do and then adjust off that instead of just being the aggressors and being like, listen, we have way more talent than any defense that we're going to go against. Like we should be able to dictate the game on our terms and just do what we want to do like they did last season. But I mean, like you mentioned, the job of coaches at the end of the day is to put players in position to succeed, right? That's like, if you look up coaching in the dictionary, it's going to say something like similar to that because, and that's exactly what Kevin Patullo isn't doing. And just the offensive staff as a whole. I mean, you're asking Grant Calcaterra in week 14 to still try and hit these crucial blocks in the running game. Like that's not putting your players in position to succeed. You're asking them to do things that they're simply not capable of doing. So if you just look on the other side of the ball, like think about Zach Bond. And I asked him this when I was in the locker room on week 18 last year. I was like, how important was it? Like how important is coaching and like this opportunity in Philadelphia? Because if you think about it, when he was in New Orleans, he was just out on the edge, never got utilized as an inside linebacker, just like was basically just brought in as a depth special teams guy. And Vic Fangio turned him into a first team all pro linebacker because of the coaching. The coach saw something in him, put him in a position to succeed, and completely turned his career around. So you're seeing it, like you said, with other offensive coordinators or head coaches, play callers, doing it with entire offenses and then maximizing their potential. And that just simply hasn't been the case for Kevin Patullo and the Eagles this season.
Yep. And I'll just say this too. Like for people that are going to say, oh, it's Jalen Hurts, complete regression for Jalen Hurts, and he's just not the answer. He needs to be removed. He needs to be benched. Everything there. Again, you're fooling yourself if you're thinking that it's a Jalen Hurts problem first before his offensive coordinator. For one, they're not going to do that. And the NFL, the way the NFL works, if you've not been aware of this, is the OC gets paid way less than the starting quarterback. The OC will be gone. Kevin Patullo will be the first move you make. It's not Jalen Hurts. So you bring in a new offensive coordinator. Now, if you bring in a new offensive coordinator that you have a lot of faith in, and they still give it enough time, and eventually there was like, oh, well, we just really can't figure this thing out, then maybe they would move on. But you could still, Jalen's had, what is it, eight different play callers? I mean, you go back to college, all those days. It's every single year a different one. So no wonder it's difficult for that to learn. But then a combo of two, you could say, oh, but some other guys can come into the league and they hit it from ground or from day one, right? It's like, okay, you got Jaden Daniels, such a success story, and he did. He played really well. This season not been the same. Commanders are not quite the team that I expected them to be, and I did pick them to finish third in the NFC East. But you still go back to it, and what are all these other quarterbacks that are having success now later in their career? Was Baker Mayfield great early on? No, not at all. The question's like, is he going to have a job? Where is he going to be at? The different stints that he had. Sam Darnold, dude's top 5 in QBR. Now, I don't trust him with my life in the playoffs, but like just in terms of looking at every day, every week play, top 5 QBR. He wasn't that way for 6 years in the league? How long has Jalen been in the league?
The Panthers.
6 years?
The Panthers had Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold on their roster at the same time.
Exactly. Yes. So, think about this. Again, it's very easy to get emotional and get all worked up and have this knee-jerk reaction. It's like, oh, Jalen Hurts is not him. It's like, who is the offensive coordinator? You've seen success. Heck, Mac Jones. Mac Jones is top 10 QBR. You want to tell me, is Mac Jones the dude? Is he that quality? No. Look at who his offensive coordinator is. My gosh, it's not that difficult if you go back through and you look at quarterbacks who are having success. And look, there are some outliers, sure. There are some outliers that you draft from day one. They're the guy, and they're showing up and making plays. But that is so few and far between. You got, I would be willing to bet 75% at least, if not more than that, of guys who, when they have the right OC, when they have the right system, and it's structured around them to maximize their ability, they're going to do good. At the end of the day, Jalen Hurts has had 2 of those, and both times they've reached the Super Bowl. One of them they won, one of them they should have won, but he still played lights out that game. So I'm sorry. You're kidding yourself if you're going like, oh, just without a doubt, Tanner McKee is the answer. I think he's good. I think he's really good. I think that he could be a starter and probably will be a starter at some point in his career. But it's not blatantly obvious like that for the takes on benching Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted it right after the game because there was a lot of bench Jalen Hurts, fire Nick Sirianni. I said, like we've literally seen this story before in 2023. If they end up losing in the wild card round, like that's it. Jalen Hurts is still going to be the quarterback next season. Nick Sirianni is still going to be the head coach next season. What we're going to see is they're going to fire Kevin Patullo, and Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie are going to handpick that guy and tell Nick Sirianni, hey, listen, we gave your guy a chance, didn't work out. We're going to bring in this guy, Brian Daboll, whoever it might be. And then if they fail after that, that's when you'll see in 2027, maybe Nick Sirianni is fired, or maybe they'll move off Jalen Hurts, which still would probably be tough because of his contract. But at that point, that's when they would make that decision. Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni are not going anywhere. There's a better chance of Tanner McKee getting traded than there is of him being the starter over Jalen Hurts. So
For sure.
that talk is just more so just nonsense conversation that people are trying to just very reactionary. Like I know Jalen Hurts had a stinker of a game, the worst game of his career, but he will still be the starting quarterback in Philadelphia.
Yeah, 100. Tyler with a 10. Appreciate that, Tyler. Josh, I saw this picture actually on this. Josh shaved the beard last night. Shaved the head back to the basic training buzz cut as well. I don't think I saw that picture, but I will be the hero and sacrifice Philly. The hero and sacrifice Philly needs. Guide us. Also want to give a shout out to the defense for balling out. There you go. Defense has been showing up. Hopefully, the buzz cut and clean shaven does the trick. The stash didn't work, so I shaved it because
I've exhausted all of my options too. I've tried growing out the facial hair. People roasted me for my prepubescent facial hair. I tried switching up the setup behind me, the order of the books and what cards back there. It's not working. I tried letting my hair grow. Not working.
It's just not working.
I mean, now we've got to pass the torch to you guys. I saw somebody else in the chat say they got a haircut for the first time in 2 months. So maybe that's what we got to do. We got to refresh the vibes.
There you go.
I'm clean shaven. Let's see if it works.
It's only crazy if it doesn't work, and so we're pulling out all the stops to try to see anything, and they still have time. But Aaron with a 5, new to the channel / following football this year, absolutely love the show. Do you think Hurts' heart is still in the game? Maybe he's over the criticism. Appreciate the support and the follow very much. I think that we're 100% in agreement on the answer of this one, but yes, Jalen Hurts is 100% still in the game, and I don't think that he's over the criticism. He's proven time and time again that kind of fuels him more so. Is he frustrated by it? I mean, maybe, but like I think he, again, like we saw him what he did with the Super Bowl and the glancing up at the TVs as the Chiefs were all picked by the experts, and he got asked about it in the press conference at the Super Bowl, and hey, does that stuff fuel you and everything? He's like, yeah, you kind of let that happen. He said every game this year is circled for a reason. It has its own reasons, its own special things. So he lets that fuel him. He's just playing really poorly. I don't think it's outside noise of him just being irritated, done with the game. Oh, I won the Super Bowl at the biggest stage, so now it's complete. Like, you know anything about Jalen, he's not to the psychopath level of Michael Jordan, but that is one of his guys, one of his mentors, his idols. So it means everything to him to win multiple championships, and that's his goal. It's not like oh, cool, we did one and we could just relax now.
Yeah, I think people just see like he doesn't like have a reaction really outside of that clip and the mic'd up where he cursed or whatever. Like you really don't see him lash out or get upset after a turnover. So it's frustrating as a fan to watch the game and see the guy turn the ball over 5 times, just basically just walks off the field with like a straight face, like nothing happened. I can understand the frustration, but I don't doubt for a second that Jalen Hurts does everything possible to try and win, except maybe he can run the ball a little bit more, but that's we dove into that already. It's just as far as just like his mental and like his commitment to the game, I don't question that at all.
Yep. John with a 2, appreciate that, John. That's what happens when you play mid 11. So I think that's to AJ, but that's what happens when you play mid.
Not his best game.
No, it is not. Two more from John, though. Question it, Anthony. You are right. I'm sorry, I'm getting to these in order, but I think that was the AJ as well, because it's back-to-back. So from the comment a second ago, or from a good bit ago. JP here as well with a 5. I'm a diehard fan for the 215. I'll start to panic if we lose to Las Vegas. We have lost to teams that are actually good besides the Giants, but that's a division game.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose they lose to the Raiders, I might have to call out sick from the live stream and the game preview of the following week. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, that'll be
yeah. If they
that's
lose
going
to
to
the
be
Raiders, I might have to like hire a legit like. It won't be. We this is like the group therapy session. If they lose to the Raiders, I'm gonna have to get like an actual certified like counselor or therapist person to hop on the stream here because I don't even know. But we joked about this. I obviously tweeted it. Some people took it seriously because people are just nuts. But I did say yes. It was 11.5-point favorites that the Eagles were to the Cardinals in 2023. It's a little bit different, I think, when you're playing really bad teams and you don't have any defense, because regardless, even if your offense can keep scoring, the defense, if it's a leaky defense, it's just the floodgates are going to open. And that's what we saw in the Cardinals game. That's what we saw just about every game to end the 2023 season. It's a different story with Fangio. Now, the defense has played an astronomical amount of snaps. So you do kind of start wondering, like, man, that fatigue, it's going to catch up to you if you keep on doing this. But I will just be absolutely shocked. But we're right there with you. Yeah, if they lose to Vegas, full on panic. Whatever we feel now, it won't even compare to losing to the Raiders. Like that would be, oh my gosh.
Especially it seems like there's a chance that Kenny Pickett might be their starting quarterback. So
that's right.
Imagine if Kenny Pickett leads the Raiders to victory in Philadelphia over Jalen Hurts. Like, you think the Jalen Hurts, Tanner McKee conversations are bad now.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine, like, why did they trade Kenny Pickett away? He should have been the star. It's like, oh God.
Yeah. We don't even want to bring those vibes in here. But I hear you. Sean with the 2. I've seen enough. They have to sign JP to the max. Okay. JP. Is that
Jalen Phillips?
I guess, but I'm wondering.
I hear JP, I think Jason Peters, but
yeah. But I'm thinking, surely Sean, did you mean, hopefully they're still there. Sean, did you mean JD? Because like JD had an insane game. I'm just wondering if it's not that Jalen Phillips didn't play good, but I feel like if we're ranking that, it'd be JD played, Jalyx Hunt played insane. Jordan Davis was unreal. I mean, good thing you did the extension, but like he needs one. I'm curious where the JP. I guess it's Jalen Phillips. Okay, he says Jalen Phillips. Okay, yeah. I don't know to the max. He's good. You got Jalen Carter that they're gonna have to take care of, and as we said, Jordan Davis playing well. Nakobe Dean is like, I don't think that you're gonna bring him back, but he's playing so good that the contract he'd get from another team, at least you have Jod Campbell, so there is a spoil of linebackers. But who do you keep there? So yeah, I don't know.
I still think Jalen Phillips should be their priority, right, in the offseason for free agency. I think I've been so impressed with, obviously the pressures are cool. Like, he's got a couple sacks.
Oh, for sure.
But his play against the run has been really, really impressive. The way he just crashes down the line of scrimmage and gets like involved in the running game, that's been really impressive. I mean, just that along with Jalyx Hunt, along with then you bring in your boy Nolan Smith, like teams got to be so upset dealing with that rotation on the edge. It's just three guys that just get after it. It's just if they can hold on to that trio, that is very scary to kind of build on moving forward.
They need the rotation, but again, as far as Sean's comment for the max, I don't want the max because I know that that's not feasible. If he's got the max from, and obviously it's not like it's the NBA max, but I know what he's talking about. So he's going to go somewhere else, unfortunately. Yeah. So
within reason, the Eagles should compete. But like, yes, we've already seen them let go of Josh Sweat and Milton Williams when they got those max contracts, right? Where we're just like, all right, you did good for us. Like, we got to move on at that price point, right? So
yeah,
hopefully that doesn't happen, especially after investing a 3rd round pick in him. But we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. We're hoping. FZ with the 5. Appreciate that. Josh, being positive is the definition of insanity. Basically, you would continue to start Calcaterra. I'm disappointed in you, Josh. Okay, well, you're entitled to your opinion, but we will agree to disagree on that one. That's actually, by definition, completely false. Being positive is not the definition of insanity. Me being completely confident that things are going to be fine here would be maybe the definition of insanity, but I can be positive of just hope and optimism because I'm always a glass half full, but it's not me saying that there's a confidence on that. So I've mentioned many times, and I think that we're all in agreement of this, that Grant Calcaterra should really not see the field.
Yeah.
Can't Blockatera is there's just no reason for it at all. So I appreciate the comment. I appreciate the support. And like I say, we can agree to disagree, but there will always be, no matter how poor or bad it gets, just my personality and who I am and what I believe. I'll still have some hope and optimism, but that doesn't change the fact that, that we don't mind saying that the Eagles are in a bad way offensively for sure.
Yeah, and just one more thing as far as like being optimistic. We talk about the 2023 season a ton for the Eagles, but if you look at that same season for the Chiefs, they kind of looked a lot like this Eagles do this year, right? I mean, they started, I
Yeah.
believe it was
Yeah.
7-2, then they had the bye week, and then they went 4-4 or something like that after the bye week, and kind of like limped their way into the playoffs. But then they won 4 straight games and won it all. Am I saying that's what the Eagles are going to do? No, but we have seen teams that have that championship pedigree look pretty terrible down the stretch and then be able to kind of turn it on in the playoffs. So just get to the playoffs, get that 3rd seed, and then take it from there.
There you go. But again, you're entitled to your opinion. As some people say sarcastically, or how dare you be, or how dare you have hope? Exactly. How dare I have hope? Cold Cash with a 5. Why is no one talking about the 3rd and 11 game on the line play to Smitty? What the hell was KP thinking? Also, do you all think the Eagles still win the division? I do think we win the division. The play call to Smitty on the 3rd and 11, I hate it as much as you do because the wide receiver screen with AJ not blocking and more defenders for the Chargers than offensive players on that side doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think that was kind of them saying, hey, we're going to pick up 4 yards here. Worst case scenario in their mind, we'll pick up 4 yards. It'll be a little bit of a shorter field goal. And if Smitty can make a play and break a tackle, then maybe we get the first down. Because you've seen it rarely, but you've seen it occasionally where Smitty does break a tackle and do that. But I think they wanted to make sure that they were going to get a field goal. And in a 3rd and 11 situation, they figured that's worth it instead of throw over the middle of the field. So anyway.
It just felt like they've done that, like, give up draw, right, or whatever you want to call it. Like,
oh, it totally was. It was a wave in the white flag. Like, we're going to kick a field goal. We're just going to try to get it a little closer.
They've done that so many times where they just ran the ball.
Yeah.
Like, why not just run the ball there, and then you have to force the Chargers to either call their last time out or run the clock out to the 2-minute warning.
Because they thought like there's a little bit more of a chance. Maybe they still pick up the first down if they pass it, whereas running up the middle was completely not working. So, I don't know. It was frustrating for sure, but as soon as they lined up, I was pretty much like, yep, they're going to kick a field goal. They're not going any further on this. The second down shot to AJ was the chance. As soon as that didn't happen, I was like, they're going to kick a field goal. Like 3rd down, you could just write it off.
For a field goal far too much, especially in these recent games. It's just, especially the way Jake Elliott's been kicking. It's just, I don't know how you have that mindset.
Oh boy, but like you said, Charlie Hewlett is coming back. We got some optimism that Jake's going to be perfect for the remainder of the season. Right now, he's 31st in terms of accuracy out of field goal kickers. 31st. He's not last. He's not last. He's the 2nd highest paid kicker in the league, but he's not last in accuracy. He's close. B. Davis with a 10. It really bothers me that we aren't talking about the 1st and goal from the 2-yard line or Sirianni icing Jake before half for no reason at all. And sorry, Jalen isn't 100% at fault. Coaching is horrible. Sure, we've not said Jalen is 100% at fault. He is a lot at fault, but there's a lot to build up to a clunker. 1st and goal. Yeah, I was hoping that they did the tush push. There's an element to it where you can say, well, hindsight's 2020, and if it wasn't a penalty there, then maybe they still have another opportunity to do something. But then I think it was the hold from Mailata brings it back 12 or to the 12, and all bets are off. I said it during the game stream. As soon as they were the 2-yard line, I was like, I get that it's a gimmick play, that people call it a gimmick play, that people hate it, it's spamming, whatever, but you don't have to overthink it there. You're at the 2-yard line, so I'm right there with you. Run the tush push. If you just get a yard, whatever, run the tush push again. If you just get half a yard, cool, run the tush push again. Like I would take my chances. of 4 plays from the 2-yard line of a tush push, and if you don't score, I can live with it. Like, it'll be upsetting, sure, but I can live with the fact that you did that because that should be your most successful play. And yeah, they didn't, but hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, it just seems like once again they've had a couple unsuccessful tush push attempts, and now they just completely scrapped it, right? Because even like the one situation where they could have used it, they ended up doing that 52-yard run to Saquon Barkley, which nobody's complaining about. But I'm just saying
No,
it just
it was
seems
fun,
like
but
they just
yeah.
went away from it completely because they got stopped and had a couple unfortunate breaks. So it's a lot of beat reporters. I thought Elliot Shore Parks, I think Jeff McClain, they were like, just tush push it there until you get it. Like that's what they were saying, just like you mentioned. So a lot of similar thoughts in that area, but they ran it one time, got stopped, and then they just tried to pass. The penalty just spiraled out of control.
Overthinking it, lack of trust in that may be a bigger issue too, a bigger topic or storyline is that you have it you could have the feeling of now you have not only some play calling that's sketch and you're not sure of, but play calling that doesn't fully trust the players to execute some of the plays. So now they're trying to go with different options because like I don't know if the guys could do this anymore. And then we talk about them not having an identity. Not only do they not have one, they're not trusting some of their basic fundamental principles because they've all trust is lost at that point. But Marcelo with a 5. I think some blame should be put on upper management. Love Howie, but he's made mistakes and would like to see more urgency to correct them. Yeah. Sure, everybody deserves blame. Nobody's spotless on it. I mean, you look at some of the moves or the lack of moves that they made. Some things could have been shored up otherwise, but I will say at least typically Howie is quicker to try to make amends when he gets the opportunity. Coaching wise, I think that's it's frustrating. It's a lot of different things, but as we kind of said, it's not going to be until they lose the division or they are one and done in the playoffs or whenever they lose in the playoffs, maybe. Just won't be as quick to make the decision. But they traded for Jalen Phillips for a reason. So we can say that Howie made the mistake in terms of how many pass rushers, how much depth he had in the edge or the pass rush, the D-line. And he did make amends for it that way. Could have answered it earlier, but at least he finally did. So kudos to him for that. But yes, not above criticism for anyone. Qualified with 5, appreciate that. A couple more super chats here, and then wrapping it up. But appreciate you guys hanging out for the Tuesday night group therapy session that it's turned into. Usually it had been like a celebration and a hangout, but love you the same. Love you just the same. Qualified with a 5. I'm already ready for next season's OC changes. I still have faith in this season. Just can't wait to get KP out of here as soon as possible. Rocky, go Birds.
Yeah, I mean, I found myself looking ahead a little bit too. I mean, I think if anybody's watched the videos here that I do, or the discussions or my Twitter, I love draft season and kind of free agency. So I tweeted out half jokingly, not so jokingly, about a mock draft for the Eagles and put it out on Twitter. I'm like, oh, is it too early for a mock draft? Obviously, there's still plenty of time left in this season, but it's completely human to kind of look ahead to at what the potential possibilities can be in the off season as well.
That it is, yes. And you're at it, like you said, you're at it already now. Definitely when the season ends, it's crazy. But we'll have lots of draft content and everything else. My hope is that we just find a miracle and something ridiculous.
And they're picking 32nd in the first round.
They're picking 32nd, yeah. And we're talking about this around Valentine's, after Valentine's Day. That'd be great. But oh boy, we got a ways to go. Qualify with 10 more. Appreciate that, man. Do you guys think there's a chance we might see McKee at least play a little this season once we secure our spot like last season when they rested the starters? I think that's possible. I do believe, especially with the guys being banged up, but what's happened previously, if it's a scenario where, like you said there, you lock up the spot, you win the NFC East, and the way the records look right now, as we said earlier in the stream, but it feels very likely that the Eagles could kind of be stuck in that 3rd seed. And so, yeah, if we're talking about Week 18, it doesn't matter what they do, win or loss, then absolutely. I think you'll see Tanner McKee probably the entire game. I wouldn't be surprised if they just rest the starters altogether.
Yeah, I was going to say, even if they just clinch the NFC East, and there's a chance that they're either the 3 or the 4 seed. I think if they clinch the division and they know they're getting a home playoff game, they'll probably rest the starters in Week 18 and take advantage of that, especially given kind of how banged up they've been and the different situations. They're going to want to get as much rest as they can and take it. Obviously, it was controversial last season when they didn't let Saquon Barkley play and go for the record, but it ended up obviously paying off with the Super Bowl. So I think they would opt to rest everybody again if the division was locked up.
That's a good point, too. Like you said, Red Scorpion, member for 6 months. Yo, I'm back from the game, ready for the next. Went to the game there. That is, I hope you enjoyed it as much as you could. Man, that would be a tough one to experience.
Shout out to Eagles fans, though. Those audible Coop chants on the broadcast. And
that was nice.
The camera from behind the Saquon Barkley run when you see him going down the sideline, and just that whole section just stood up. It was all Eagles fans. It's just like, as a Chargers fan or a Rams fan, because either one, the Eagles take over that stadium, and a lot of opposing fans kind of take over that stadium. But it's got to be so demoralizing. So like if you're like a season ticket holder, and you go to that game and you're just surrounded by opposing fans at a home game, it's just like, that's got to be tough.
And, this is a long way. I'm not saying I'm expecting this or believing again, so I'm just trying to have as many disclaimers as possible. But if the Eagles were to eventually find themselves playing the Rams in LA, we have talked about this before. It's not the same type of home game as it would be playing, Seattle or the Seahawks in Seattle. So there's something that goes into play. Yeah, the Eagles travel well, but there's certain teams that allow you to travel even better than what they would normally. So Private Jet with a 5. What do you guys think of Clint Kubiak as a potential head coach if things go left with Nick? I like Nick, but man, I wish we had a head coach that can call plays.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 2027 question because I do not think, no matter what happens this season, Nick Sirianni is going to be fired.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. Maybe if it was like you lost all the remaining games this season and it just totally fell apart, you didn't even make the playoffs, then that changes the answer. But it would take something so monumental, so like the players and everyone just had enough. They're done with Sirianni. No one even wants to be there anymore. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Kubiak will be a name for sure, though. Like as far as just a head coach candidate for other teams, absolutely. Like what he's done previously, then had more of a struggle, but still people were kind of like, yeah, but that wasn't exactly his fault. At least the Kubiak apologist. But then what he's doing now, yeah, he will have buyers for sure. Qualified with a 5 more. Thank you for that. Lots of these. Sometimes I wonder what our offense would have looked like if Andy Reid had this roster. Well, Andy Reid has a pretty good roster over in Kansas City this year, and they're probably not going to make the playoffs. So it's not everything, but you're right. I do believe in some more of the scheming and answers that they have. They don't have much of a running game, but as much of a question mark, confusion, surprise, all the other stuff that we would want to say for the Eagles and how lackluster they've been. The Chiefs are right up there with, because they had been winning games and winning enough to say, okay, hey, now they got Rashee Rice coming back. They should get this thing really moving. They got some good winnable games coming up and then continue to lose some of them in the most ridiculous fashion possible. So, yeah, wouldn't be fun as a Chiefs fan. Sean with 5 more. A little overboard on my comment, but Phillips has just been such a difference maker since coming in. 100%. Yep. No, I didn't mean it in terms of like to the extreme. I kind of got what you meant, but I was just saying in terms of like the max. If he's like Milton Williams category contract, he's probably going somewhere else. So we could hope to be a little bit of a discount, just a slight one, but yeah, I'm all for prioritizing it. Qualify 2 more now. Okay. Josh FZ just low key called you a Dallas fan. Well, that was more of a hate comment than I realized. I still agree to disagree, but if that was the case, then yeah, let me go back to that one. Christian with a 5, never heard Josh so frustrated. The fire and passion. Philly picked the right guy for their updates and news.
The people like angry Josh.
Oh my gosh. We're going back to whatever Slay did what he did last year. So
and I feel like I've been way more pessimistic on this stream than you have been.
Yeah.
So
well,
if this is angry Josh, then yes, like you said, The Darius Slay situation last year was probably
That yeah,
the
yeah.
angriest that I've seen you.
That was a lot of irritation. Yeah, because I'm all for the team and support and everything else, but when you're taking shots at other guys and showing immaturity and everything else, just a bit much. But yeah, same way. I mean, we tried to be searching for answers for weeks and weeks and weeks, and same old issues. Sirianni saying they're gonna grind it out and get out of the hole. I think his words exactly were grind it out, get out of the hole that we're in. So, do you believe that's going to actually happen? We'll see. They've been saying that essentially the same thing for weeks. Brian with a 10, appreciate that. Rough loss, but I still love this team. Some bad calls, stupid penalties, a bad game from QB1, and a missed field goal. Correct any one of these, and we win. Really looking forward to offloading KP. Go Birds.
Yep. All that's I'm in agreement.
headed in that direction. That is 100% of where it is. But, the only way he saves his job is if we win the Super Bowl, which, as much as everybody's frustrated and irritated with Kevin Patullo, I think we'd be fine with if they just magically somehow won a Super Bowl. And you're like, wow, okay, well, I mean, he's staying. You're not losing him. Like, you don't win a Super Bowl and say, oh, well, we've gone ahead and moved on from Kevin Patullo. But that feels like the only answer if he were to stay. So Darth Panda with a 2. I think this is the last one here, but appreciate that. Says, who do you guys like for the OC job next season?
I feel like Brian Daboll is going to be like the hot name because of what he was able to do in Buffalo, his experience working with Jalen Hurts in college and things like that. But then there's like the questions about his personality and will he be able to mesh, or will him and Nick Sirianni clash too much? Like, so that's a whole lot of like a big factor too. I mean, it'll be interesting because I know Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie probably already have a lengthy list of candidates that they're going to be interested in. But I mean, if all else fails, I feel like Frank Reich is a guy that would make kind of sense, like a little bit of sense if they want to go in kind of like that Vic Fangio mold, where it's an older guy that you probably don't have to worry about competing for a head coaching job. Like, he'll be around. He's been around the NFL for years. Like, he's worked with Nick Sirianni. He's worked for the Eagles before Nick Sirianni. Like, he has a presence, and then like they know what to expect from him in Philadelphia. So if they want to go in that direction, I feel like he would be a safe option as well.
I like that. Yeah, because then you have your answers, as you say, with kind of a lifer, which you need at this point if you're going to have Sirianni. So we'll see. If and when that happens, we will obviously have lots of videos, lots of streams talking about possibilities and who the Eagles are interviewing, who they're linked to, everything there. But as I said, hopefully it is more in February that we have this conversation. So appreciate it, guys, everybody as well. I think got to everybody else as well. But even in the midst of all this frustration, everything else, the group therapy, it's good. Good to talk through it. But more videos to come. Raiders on the horizon. Maybe a get right. We say it every single week, but I don't know. We got to prove it at this point. We got the score prediction right. We just got the wrong team. So, and we would have hit the pick this past week if Jalen's run didn't get called back for the hold, but that's a whole nother story. So, this was something. It's not fun because we wouldn't want to be the topic here, but it's still good to get together with the community. So, I think that does it for us, though. Appreciate it, Anthony. As always, follow at DiBona NFL, thephillyspecialshow.com, takeaways that Anthony has up there, other articles throughout the week, as well as the injury updates that will be later in the week for the Raiders game and everything that you need to know. And game recap video probably a little later tonight. If anybody's staying up late, stay tuned. There's kind of the usual stuff, but wait until then. As always, go Birds.
Go Birds.